Alright, welcome back to We Play Games. I'm Walker, and here we are in SpellForce Conquest of Eo, resuming our Necromancer of Draycott campaign. So we're going to get some story panels, and I'll do some dramatic readings for those, because I really think the writing here is a lot of fun. But we are playing as an evil necromancer, so expect us to sack a lot of villages along the way, because we need the resources in order to create our necromantic creatures. Alright, so we're going to use our minion just to scout. Alright, so there's a fairly strong army down here. It includes a cutthroat, which is a really useful thing to be fighting against, because it's a tier 2 unit, and so if we can kill this unit, we'll get a tier 2 soul, which is a really, really powerful tool when it comes to creating the undead. And there are the snow leopards over there. So let's scout up here and see what's guarding this. Looks like an even weaker force, just all tier 1s. So if we want an easy fight, we can go over here. We could build the study, but we need 25 mana. But one thing we can do to speed that along is take this soul and sell it to the market. So now we have 25 mana, and we can go ahead and build a study. Selling the Vigorous Soul is a little spooky just because it means we're literally out of souls, but with the Necromancer minions online, we can get souls relatively easily, and Vigorous Souls are like the lowest quality. Alright, so here's the first story panel. What are your next steps? The destruction of your master's tower must mean he uncovered something of the Allfire's secrets, which the circle guards fiercely. You can restore the contents of his grimoire, but his tower needs rebuilding too, and if the circle is behind his disappearance, you must expect them to come for you as well. Maybe they know of your discovery already. So here is the Necromancer of Draycott. We are going to say, I will not let them stop me. But in a future playthrough as a different character, we might go for what exactly is the circle. The Necromancer, he's going to say, I will not let them stop me. Taking proper stock of your master's laboratory, you find very little more than empty vials and containers that have, like everything else, been searched through. It was certainly not the work of goblins. You can make out tracks of a cart leading to a nearby hamlet you passed on your way here. Did the villagers plunder the tower after it was abandoned too? I suppose I should check in with them too. Alright, so here we have a hamlet that has spawned, and you see that crown? That means that's the main storyline. And we have dispatched one of our goblin brawlers, but we've replaced it with a goblin archer and a ghoul, which is going to give us a lot of tactical combat flexibility here. The village's inhabitants eye you with an air of hostility when you arrive. Children are called inside. Some of the villagers arm themselves with tools and sticks. Your band regards them cautiously in return. A burly black-haired man brandishing a cudgel steps forward and says, "There is nothing for you here," will scare them into submission. The villagers remain defiant. "We won't return the ingredients. The apprentice left them as payment for helping him flee. We got them fair and square. You can't just take them from us. Return them to me or pay the price in blood." At the sight of your troops moving in, the villagers' bravery fails and they lower their makeshift weapons. How to punish them for their insolence in keeping your master's materials. In this case, our master's materials are not limited to the things that the villagers stole. The bodies of the villagers and the souls of the villagers will work well for us as additional payment. We could potentially use a glyph here and upgrade one of our characters, but I don't think we need to do that. You have 2 glyph slots on these units, and we can equip these glyphs, and the glyphs are going to give them just across the board bonuses. Like +1 death damage is pretty sweet, but it's also a powerful thing to use in necromancy, and so using them early on can be expensive. And I think we can defeat these guys without them. Alright, so we have the arsonists and the cutthroats moving in. The arsonists are going to take a ranged attack on our goblin brawler, but that's going to leave the arsonists open in turn. So yeah, we'll move the minions up. We'll use a ranged attack on them. We'll shoot into the arsonist. Oh man, we're not doing a lot of damage here. Shooting into the arsonist was hopefully going to get us a little more dead than that, or get them a little more dead than that. Let's see how our goblin brawlers turn out. Alright, so they're down to 15 hit points. So we need a 15 through a 17 in order to accomplish this on the arsonists. I don't think that's likely, so I think we're just going to move up and then defend. Alright, so the cutthroats are indeed attacking the ghouls. Bad news for the ghouls, but good news for everybody else. Yeah, the ghouls are getting wailed on here. But now we can try to do soul caged. Yeah, alright, good. We got soul caged on cutthroats. That means that when the cutthroats dies, we'll actually get their soul. Unfortunately, our ghouls are not going to be able to consume corpse here and thereby heal pretty easily. So we'll have the goblin brawlers go in, but we might have to cast aid on these ghouls to help them out. but we will get a soul, which is going to be one of the most important things. It's just a lesser pristine soul. That's a bummer. Pristine souls are cool because they don't have life pips on them, but a level 2 unit can give you a level 2 soul, which was what we were really looking for. With their armed defenders dead, the remaining villagers cower in fear. You quickly find the stolen ingredients and take their valuables for good measure. Serves them right. As you leave, you think about the apprentice the villagers kept speaking of. Perhaps you can find them. They may be able to shed some light on your master's fate. I will see if I can find out more. Oh, excellent. The ghouls are really low on hit points right now, and they don't regenerate on their own, and so I'd like to save them for some kind of non-combat use, but there we learned a world skill, Mine Ore, and that means that now these ghouls can actually make use of this ore deposit here, and that'll give us some time to get some mana online so that way we can cast Aid and heal those ghouls up. Now this is going to take 4 turns, but importantly this is also going to highlight something about the resources here in SpellForce Conquest of Eo. Some of these things, like the mines and the copper veins, are actually limited use, and so if you want to keep an economy going, you're going to have to move around. It's just sort of the nature of the game here. But I think that gives you a really fun, different play experience here in a 4X, because it highlights exploration more than expansion, and I think that's cool. So we didn't get any vigorous souls, so it did cost us a little bit that we sold that, but we did pick up 3 more feral souls. That means that we can actually build some heinously strong ghouls if we really want to. We definitely need to build a ghoul though, because our other ghoul is currently so damaged that it can't really participate in combat, and you never want to run out of the ability to get remains. So we're going to actually go ahead and build this Lesser Arcane Soul into a ghoul. The Lesser Arcane Soul means that we get 2 extra mana per day. You can preserve it in an effort to try to be able to build an Undead Mage, but I think that we want to save the Undead Mage for a better soul type, because 2 extra mana per day isn't really a good combat bonus, and Undead Mages are enormously powerful in combat. So we won't make this, but we can show you by just clicking on this item here. And the Undead Mage gives you access to some really strong stuff. Specifically, Nor's Curse and Nor's Boon are very powerful. Nor's Curse is going to apply Weakened, which makes it so that enemies take a lot more damage from death damage. And of course, guess who does a lot of death damage? The undead. And Nor's Boon, which gives you white resistance. And so if you're fighting against somebody who does white damage, normally they just kind of like dumpster your undead units because of your white weakness. You take double damage from white damage. But with Nor's Boon, you can offset that a little bit. Nor's Boon does not save you from white damage as the undead, but it makes it so you're way less likely to just get TPK'd in 1 turn of combat. I think that the strongest way to build an Undead Mage is to find some sort of damage bonus or guard break ability on your soul, because they are very effective in combat, and I would like to have them traveling around with me for most of the game, at least in the beginning. So we're going to use this Arcane Soul and make a ghoul. We could potentially hire another goblin if we really wanted to. Those can be useful, because what we can do with them is we can actually send them into an enemy stack to weaken the enemy stack, die, and then our main stack follows up and cleans up for easy experience and kills. If you're going to do that, then you want to be careful to time the production of the units in question. And our Goblin Archer, I'm going to increase our speed. Generally speaking, having more willpower is very useful, but I like having speed on archers because it gets you the ability to do 2 shots a lot more easily. Alright, so there's going to be something probably guarding these research books, and I don't want to get too close and thereby get ambushed. So I'm just going to move over here, and then we're going to go ahead and research Enchanted Wisp. The reason for this is that wisps in SpellForce Conquest of Eo are going to be the vehicle by which we're going to interact with Allfire. And Allfire is a critical part of the game in SpellForce. It's a resource that you can translate into the other magical resources. And anytime there's a resource transformation mechanic in a game, I'm all in. I love resource transformation. Cycling is my favorite thing in Magic, don't at me. But Fear is a really cool spell that I want to slot in pretty soon. So we're going to try to pump our research. That's why I was excited to sell a soul, so that way we could get the study up a turn earlier. Oh boy. Yeah, speaking of getting ambushed. That's why Early game scouting is very powerful in SpellForce and other 4X games, but boy do you want to be careful about where you move. Like, I'm not going to move here or here, because there's got to be something in here, right? Oh, no, maybe there isn't. All right. Well, we'll get some research, hopefully, for free. But if we do end up getting ambushed, we can always retreat once with a goblin. It's not a big deal. Your master's missive spoke of an Allfire source he discovered not far from here. Now that you have established yourself in his tower, it is time to search for it. You eagerly scour his scribblings for any hint to the source's location. It must be close to the tower, else your master would have not set up his abode here. Eventually you find the location noted in your master's grimoire. It is not even a day's walk from the tower. But how to access the Allfire? As many have found out to their detriment, no mortal may touch the Allfire without being consumed. The Circle only recently discovered how to master its power, and they will not teach their secret to anyone. But your master once described a theory of his, of a magical conduit. By summoning an ethereal creature to meld with the Allfire source, and retaining the connection to it after it has been consumed, you may be able to channel some of the Allfire's power into yourself. A wisp may do the trick, an ethereal being often used by mages as scouts or messengers. Let's summon a wisp and try. I think what we might want to do is preserve this, send some guys up here, and now we can fight against these level 1 units, because these are weaker. They're going to be pretty easy for us to defeat without losses with our main stack. And then these 2 extra goblins will actually save, with the intention of maybe building up a goblin-only stack. We're going to go ahead and make 2 feral ghouls at the same time. They'll work really well together because the feral ability will see each other, it'll increase their damage pretty considerably. And I do just like having ghouls in your combat stacks. You get so many remains that way. But there's an important thing that's going on here, is that we are basically hiring as many goblins as we can all of the time. Because now, as the Necromancer of Draycott, we really are going to try to send our troops into every single combat that we can, just to weaken the enemies, right? And keep our main stack getting stronger and stronger. So the easier fights that we can give our main stack, the better. And keep in mind that troops don't cost anything except for upkeep. And so if you can sacrifice your goblins by sending them off to die, that can be economically productive. All right, let's fight this battle against these level 1 units. So we have a ranged unit out of the Dwarven Worker. The scariest enemy out of them right now is this Arsonist, but the level up that it came with only gave it an extra pip of armor, so it's not going to be a big problem. Looks like their Arsonists are definitely moving into engage. Looks like all of their Rangers are going to be engaging. But because we are in defense mode, we're not getting beaten up too badly here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to move our minions up, and we'll use Death Bolts on their Arsonist. Alright, good, we got Soul Cage. Soul Cage isn't as critical on a level 1 unit, but it's always helpful to get it. And we'll send our Goblin Brawler in to start the fight with the Arsonist. And then we send a bunch of arrows into their Arsonist. But unfortunately, it looks like our Goblin Brawlers are going to get stranded out here. Boy, oops. Hopefully they don't die. If they do, there are more of them. Well, our minions are going to take out those dwarves in response. And now I think their damage output is low enough that I'm okay just sending our ghouls in. Because worst case scenario, the ghouls are just going to feed next turn. Yep, they're going to get pounded by these archers. But we can consume corpse. We'll send our minions over here to blast the hunters. Oh good, we got soul caged. And then we'll just send the archers up to take them out. Alright, so we lost one of our follower goblin brawlers, which is painful, because those are the ones that are free in terms of upkeep. And that's a big deal. Oh, but we could take Lucky or Speed. Speed is a pretty good one, but Lucky is also a huge increase in terms of your damage. We'll get willpower on the goblin archers. Alright, we got pumpkin, flintstone, ashes, and fur. So we just got a lot of orange, which means that we could potentially make some really interesting creatures here, if only we had better souls, but we might get one soon. Alright, so every week we get a special bonus, and this time we rolled 1 extra world map movement. That can be very powerful if we have enough units to do a lot of scouting, and so we're going to be careful to try to utilize these units in a way that's productive. Oh, and our study was constructed. Awesome. Mining the mountain copper vein granted us flintstone and a lot of extra copper, plus some experience points. Not far from your tower, you spot a hooded figure watching you from a crop of trees. Is the circle already aware of your presence here? Danger may be closer than you expected. I need more guards. You know the local militia holds a watchtower not far away. Perhaps you can acquire help there. Let's talk to them. We're gonna do some talking. So here we actually have advanced in our necromancy because we are creating multiple creatures per turn. And so what we're doing here is we're working on investing in creation of a minion. We need lots and lots of remains to make that happen though. So we have 2 ghouls in this stack that we're about to attack the militia outpost with. Hopefully they both survive because they both have pack tactics. And it would be really cool if we could have them working together because double Undertaker duty is really fast for your economy. Some soldiers loiter in front of the watchtower, but there isn't even a proper guard posted. At the sight of your approach, a few of them do get up, unsure on their feet and obviously more than just a little drunk. Oh, we're gonna pick a fight. We're gonna admonish them for their dereliction of duty. The soldiers all laugh mirthlessly. You think anybody cares? The leader snorts. The Baron hasn't visited in months and brigands freely roam the lands. People complain every day. Their cries fall on deaf ears. I will not be insulted by a drunken peasant. Attack! Alright, so we're going to pick another fight here. We have another level 2 unit though, so I'm hoping that we can get the soul catch on that and get a level 2. Because we have some really good resources now to make, especially orange units. We will start battle. So the moles are really interesting because of their burrow ability. They are going to burrow all the way through and pop up right there in the middle. But of course they're right there in the middle, so they're about to get wailed on. But we're going to get attacked by them in turn, so it's not free. But hopefully we get a soul cage here. Nah, no soul cage. The goblin archers are going to take some attacks of opportunity here, but again, the more that we're doing this to reduce the actions of the molebear, the better. Because now they're not going to be able to retaliate against the second ghoul, alright? And we'll just tear the molebears apart. They've been very resilient, of course, because they do have guard up, and that's one of those cases where I'd love to have a guard break unit available to us. But we haven't rolled one yet, so hopefully let's get the soul catch here with necromancer minions. Soul caged, awesome. I think what we're going to do is just take out the molebears, and then we'll just defend with both of our ghouls and see how the dwarves react. Okay, so they're going to go in here and start a fight with this ghoul. We'll have the ghouls consume the body of the mole riders, and then our minions will unleash an unholy volley. No soul cage there, but we'll send our ghouls in to finish these guys off. Because getting experience on my ghouls is actually important. They're very powerful units if we can keep them alive. Oh, excellent. We got a level 2 soul. It's a vigorous soul, so it has 2 pips of green on it. That's a little scary. It's harder to work with those, but it's a very strong soul. The militia are no match for you. You take over the tower and discover a few coin sacks in the leader's room. He must have been keeping them hidden for himself. But at least we gained something. And now we can potentially use this ghoul to harvest plants, and another one to mine ore. If there's enough resources around you, then just getting those up and going can be the best way to advance an economy. But the biggest restriction for us right now is just availability of death pips. We don't have a lot of them, and remains are pretty inefficient. So we're going to have to come up with a better solution for death magic in our necromancy. In the meantime, we will summon an enchanted wisp. That'll take 2 turns, but that'll allow us to meld with the Allfire, which will give us control over the Allfire resource, and therefore the ability to assign it to specific parts of the economy. So here you are about to interact with the Allfire for the first time, so let's go ahead and see what we got. Approaching the Allfire node's location, you find it buzzing with activity. A swarm of insects has taken hold of it, no doubt attracted by the place's alluring energy. We're going to say kill those pests, but our main target here is going to be trying to reduce the strength of the nature elementals. This is by far and away the most dangerous unit here, especially to our undead stack. So if we can do a lot of damage or even remove the nature elementals, I'll be thrilled. The hornets, they're mostly adds. And some of you might complain about like using the mechanics here to sacrifice these goblins for gain, but tell me something more thematic for a necromancer to do than send a bunch of goblins off to die so that way his creations can continue to conquer the continent. I'll wait. Here's where potentially having 1 goblin shaman here would be a big upgrade in terms of the combat effectiveness of the goblins, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, we'll move our goblin brawlers, basically everybody, down in the direction of the nature wisp, because we really do want to get as much damage on the wisp as possible. If you want to speed up your combats, then just right click and it'll actually speed through the animations in question. Okay, so what we can do here is we can have these archers take this hornet out. These goblins are not going to be close enough to attack those guys. All right, well, we'll lay into these hornets, I guess. But here we can only attack once, so I don't see any reason to not just guard with these goblin brawlers. It's much healthier for them. Alright, well, we'll guard. The wisp is closing in. Alright, I guess we're gonna just have one wisp to fight with our main stack, but that's okay. So yeah, it's gonna be one injured wisp versus our main stack. This is going to cost us the ability to scout, but I think that generally speaking it's going to be worth it for us, because otherwise we have to fight against something that has white damage with our undead stack, which is very dangerous. We will return, and we will return in style. We'll just send our goblin archers up in guard, and then hopefully the wisp will fall for that. Because again, the ghouls, they are going to be weak to the white damage that the wisps are putting out. And generally speaking, I don't want to be a part of that. We could potentially bait the elemental into attacking us if we attack out with our minions, because then they won't be guarding. So we'll go for that. Oh, awesome. And we even got soul caged. That was really what we were hoping for. Looks like indeed the wisp is just going to move up and curse us. Now this means that we have -2 armor, which means we would take a lot more damage here, but I don't think that the wisp is going to be able to attack us, actually. I think we're just going to kill it. Yep, archers shoot it down, and then the ghoul finishes it off. Excellent. Bummer, we only got a lesser pristine soul. After dispersing the giant insects, you eagerly approach the place where a glow seems to break through the ground, pulsating with promise. Get closer. The Allfire draws you to it, its power singing to you. As tempting as it is, you know that outside the circle of mages, no one can touch it and survive. If you summon a wisp, it could meld with the Allfire source and allow you to channel its energy. I have that summoning spell in my grimoire, and in fact we are summoning it next turn. But in the meantime, we actually have a ghoul with a harvest plant ability, so we can send it over here to potentially harvest this magical water for us. That's something we want to be on the lookout for, especially because we did sacrifice a stack. Our opportunities for us to make use of the resources immediately around us. But there's a really important thing here. This is an inn. This is a spawner that's going to generate enemy stacks that are going to attack us. That's not necessarily a bad thing as a necromancer, because it does mean that there's a guaranteed wait list of future servants. But it does mean that we need to be careful in regards to how we manage our stacks here. Late at night, a frantic rattling at the door wakes you up. From your window, you see a hooded figure nervously eyeing the path up to your tower. Spotting you, they frantically wave and shout, "Quick, open up in the name of our master! They are after me!" Let's open the door. After quickly sliding through the doorway and locking the door behind him, a man slumps against the wall and breathes. "I pray they have not spotted my trail, or we may all be lost." Slowly catching his breath, he pulls down his hood. He is older than you thought, his beard already graying. "Apologies, where are my manners?" he mumbles. "I know who you are. Our master spoke very highly of you, but no doubt you wonder who I am." "Indeed. I am Jonath. I studied the art of necromancy with our late master," the man says proudly. "Here is proof of my work with him." He hands you a number of densely scribbled pages. Their topics center on facilitating the creation of undead, marked in numerous places by your master's hand. "So tell me, what happened to our master?" "I must say, it is quite the tale." He takes a seat at the small table near the tower entrance. "Do you want me to tell you everything, or just what happened to our master's research after the circle came for him?" "We'll have Jonath tell us everything. We need to know about our enemies." And we've already skipped one opportunity to learn about the circle. "As you no doubt know, our master's obsession has always been to control the flow of the Allfire. It is something long thought lost with the Shapers. But a few years ago, he made a breakthrough. He managed to split the Allfire's flow with a magical prism, allowing him to harvest some of its might and begin real research into its mastery. It was a slow and dangerous process, but he did succeed. I have his treatise on the subject." "Interesting, tell me more." "Having begun to master the Allfire, he grew more ambitious. He devised a much larger prism that could be mounted onto his tower to channel far more of the Allfire into a special chamber, where it could be siphoned off directly. Ingenious, I must say. Nothing like that has ever been attempted, but there is no such chamber here." because he never had the chance to build it. An emissary of the Circle came and attempted to warn him off, but he did not heed the threat. He was too close to another breakthrough to stop. So the Circle came back with an ultimatum. Knowing full well they would intervene, he handed me the pages of his research for safekeeping and sent me away. I was still in sight of the tower when they arrived. The man looks crestfallen as he haltingly replies, I ran. I am ashamed to admit. My master did tell me to go, for his research was more important than his life, he said. But still, I panicked and I ran. Not out of duty, but out of fear. I traded with the local villagers to hide me in their cart and carry me away from here. The man looks at you a little forlornly. I never saw our master again. But now I have failed him twice. How so? When I heard someone was rebuilding the tower, my curiosity got the better of me, I suppose. I hid in a goblin village not far from here. But the Circle was watching for me and ambushed me, demanding I hand over our master's plans. He begins to sob as he says, I feared for my life. I gave them the plans our master died to protect. Where was this? A day's journey from here. Not far away is a tower the Circle's forces have long used as a base. I am certain that is where they took the pages with our master's most valuable research. I managed to gather some of our master's former servants, but our forces are not sufficient to take on the Circle's minions. I implore you, please help me protect our master's legacy. I swear I will not fail him again. I will even offer you my services if you help me retake his research. Please, together we must best the Circle's forces. Our master's work must be preserved. This research is invaluable. I must have it. So now there is this Stolen Pages event over here. Ooh, and it looks like Stolen Pages has stolen something from us. So the control of this watchtower is conflicted because they have a tower here, and they have a very strong force. So we probably aren't going to be able to scare them off with the forces that we have here with Jonath. We'll see. Maybe if we send some more goblins in to die. But we'll save that for the next episode of the Necromancer of Draycott. I'm having a really good time. It definitely feels thematic to me, at least, to be summoning goblins and sending them into stuff. It is costly in terms of removing potential scouts from us, but right now I have a pretty good idea of what's immediately around us, and there's plenty of resources, so I prioritize capturing territory over seeing the entire map, at least right now. Alright, that's Walker, and that's our second episode of SpellForce Conquest of Eo. Take care.